One of the biggest gaps in people's open guard game is not having a strong omoplata. A lot of people ignore the omoplata because they think of it as like harder to actually get the submission, but the big benefit, it's actually really easy to set up. And if you don't understand the position well, there's a lot of different ways to finish both submissions like the omoplata itself, chokes, sweeps, and transitions to the back. Also, it's extremely easy to get to. Triangle chokes and arm bars and collar chokes, they're very powerful as well, but they can be very difficult to get to. Omoplata, you can set up from so many positions and there's so many different finishes. So this video, I'm gonna overview, in my opinion, what are the most common sequences your opponent's gonna do and a system around that. And as always, if you guys like the content, be sure to like, share, subscribe to help support the channel. All right, so we're gonna start with finishing the basic omoplata. So however we get there, we're gonna be in a basic omoplata here. So the first thing is, if he's up on his knees, it's very hard to finish. I wanna come up and drive here to finish, but he can always posture back. So the first thing I wanna do here, there's a few different ways. I'm gonna go over with my left arm and try to pull this lapel out. Once I pull this out, I'm gonna feed it to my right hand, and this controls his posture. My left hand here, you can go around that way. My left hand here is going to grab his ankle or the pants here like this, and I'm gonna lock in, and as I scoot away, like this, it's gonna break him down, right? Once I break him down, it's much easier to finish from here. So while I'm trying to go for this finish, people are often gonna defend in different ways. So one of the first ones is, as soon as I get my left arm up over the back, before I can even initiate the first one, my opponent is gonna do a forward roll to escape. So I'm actually just gonna follow him here and roll through. As I roll through, it's very easy to hook this arm. Once I hook this arm, there's a few different ways to do it. If it was no gi, you could just clasp your hands or grab here. If I have a gi, I'll often pull this lapel out, feed it to my right hand and hold it tight. And now my left hand comes around and gets a tight grip on this lapel, and I lock my elbow on his back. This locks his shoulder in. From here, you can go around this way. I'm gonna grab his sleeve and I just start shrimping away here, and that's gonna apply shoulder pressure and often get the finish there. If I can't get the finish here because his shoulder is a little bit more flexible, often they'll kind of fall forward here. You can keep coming, right? He'll fall forward and I end up back in this position where I have him down, broken down. And from here, I can just grab the shoulder, kind of like we did before. And when I finish, I don't wanna go straight forward. I wanna go up towards his ear. So I'm trying to bring his wrist towards the back of his head to finish. So another common defense is, as I start to come up to try to get my arm over the back, or even before I'm there, he's gonna posture up a lot from his knees and it kind of knocks me back. So here I'm trying to bring him forward, but it can be very tough. So what I'm gonna do is just grab some material near his upper shoulder, back, or arm here, and I'm actually gonna take my right foot and I put it on the floor and I shrimp back. And this allows me to start pulling him backwards. As I pull him backwards, I'll catch his shoulder, and now we end up in the same exact position we were in before, and I can finish in the same way. An extra really nice finish here, if I have this crucifix position, if he has a flexible shoulder, is I can come across with this right arm and get this lapel, and now I have a really nice collar choke finish position, right? So one more time, go up to the knees, right? We're up here, he's on his knees. As I try to sit up, he's a strong guy, postures up a bunch and knocks me back. So I go here, pull back, dig here, and go for the finish. So another good option when they roll is, as he starts to roll, I'm gonna control his elbow or his tricep with my right hand, start rolling, and then I'm gonna control that and I let my left shin lock under his tricep here, right? This locks him in position. Once I lock this in, I can put my left hand on the floor, and now I'm gonna rotate through and I just sit on his chest, okay? I'm pretty light, but even here, this is a very uncomfortable position to be in. There's a few different ways we can finish from this position. I can just throw my leg over his head, and if I rotate through, that becomes a really nice shoulder lock. Another one here is, guys will often, when they see this leg floating, they just have a intuition to grab it. So I pull my knee to my chest, I come around here, you can go around that way, and I grab his elbow, and now I'm gonna use my elbow tight to my armpit to break that grip. And now I have this nice position with my hip to get a tight arm bar there. I can even throw over the head. Another option here is, when he goes for this pant leg, I can reach here, he'll pull his arm away, and then I can go in here and start switching up for a triangle choke. I can either finish on top with the triangle, or I can rotate through, push the arm across, and start finishing from here. So another common situation when you sit up here is, guys are gonna start grabbing their own thigh or belt, and this can be really hard to force forward, right? So what I like to do here, you can go around this way, is I like to take my right hand, I feed this lapel to my left hand. Once I get this grip, it kind of locks his shoulder in tight. I can put my right hand on the floor and I can start doing like a technical stand up here. It's very, very hard for him to maintain that grip. I get so much force. That'll break the grip. I keep holding this grip, and now he'll usually at some point roll because there's so much shoulder pressure. I'll keep this lapel grip here. It keeps his arm in really tight. From here, I can just shoot my left leg through and I can progress to this position we did before. Also, sometimes when I'm here and I have this lapel, I can just sit through here and throw my right leg over, and now this holds his tricep in position and makes it easy to transition in to finish with an arm bar. All right, so now we're gonna talk about finishing the omoplata when our opponent is standing. So however I get here, often it's collar or sleeve, I'm gonna get this omoplata, and when he's standing, it's a little bit harder to break down. So there's two main ways I like to do this in the beginning. You can go this way a little bit. The first one is, as soon as I hit the omoplata, if it's open, often I will take this right foot and try to butterfly hook his leg. It's not always there, but it's so powerful. If you get it, it's always worth looking for. So if I can catch this here, I can even let go of the collar now, try to posture up here. He can't posture because this leg blocks him from his own posture. I'll come up with my elbows and start scooting away. A lot of times you can get the finish immediately from here. If not, he'll come down to both knees as I do this, and maybe I lose this, but now we end up back in the initial positioning here. Another really good one is, as soon as I hit the omoplata, I always keep the collar grip. I don't just let go immediately unless I'm gonna do something else. I keep the collar grip, but right when I put it on, I always try to get extra distance. People, when you're really close like this, if he postures up here, he can lift me. Some guys are so strong they'll lift you no matter what, and I'm gonna show you how to deal with that soon. But as soon as I hit the omoplata, I always wanna have a little extra distance. See that little push and that little distance there just makes me a lot heavier to lift, right? So from here, if I can't catch that butterfly hook with the right foot, I'm gonna switch and grab his pant leg with my left hand. I wanna keep my core kind of tight so he can't bring this arm back across this way to get out, right? And I'm gonna grab this pant leg, you can go that way a little bit. I'm gonna grab this pant leg and I hold here, now I'm gonna unlock my legs, I shrimp my right foot on the floor, I stiff arm his arm and I start shrimping away, and that'll start bringing him down to the floor. Once I bring him down, I can sit up, and again, we're progressing back to the position we started with. So another common situation when they're standing is I go for the omoplata right as soon as I put it on, I always want to try to get a hold of this leg because he's going to try to step over my head. If I have a good grip on this, he can't step over my head. But nonetheless, sometimes it's gonna happen, you just slip up and he starts to step over. When he steps over here, the problem is he can start coming down and then you get smashed here and it becomes difficult, okay? So if when I do this, I have a lot of distance, this is not a problem at all. As he starts to do it, I feel it coming, I'm just gonna let go and push his leg over. And now I'm gonna end up with this kind of classic back take position here where I can go for the back, right? So go up one more time. So, again, I want to avoid that in the first place, but when I have distance like this, if he does do it, it's pretty easy to feed this and force it forward. Another situation is instead of pulling straight to the back, he starts to fall to the side a little bit to avoid, and this is going to naturally turn into a crab ride type situation here where I can come up for the back that way. And finally, the last situation is sometimes your opponent's gonna be so strong that no matter how much you try to break their posture, they're just gonna deadlift out. If you're fighting in the open weight and you're like 150 pounds fighting someone 250 pounds, you just can't stop them from posturing. So having a good answer for when your opponent is deadlifting out of the position is gonna be extremely powerful. So often this is when I switch to matrixes, X-guard, back takes, and things like that. As soon as I hit the omoplata, if the guy is extremely strong, all the stuff I showed to break them down works, but sometimes you just know they're really strong, they're gonna deadlift no matter what you do, especially before you can hook the leg or something. So in that case, often as soon as I hit the omoplata, I'm gonna immediately underhook this leg. And I'm underhooking it because I know they're gonna posture, and this is gonna set up a matrix back take or a transition to X guard. So when I hit here, now I have this underhook and the calf grip and this collar. So as he postures, I'm gonna resist with the collar to make him really have to posture, and then I release. That's gonna create that overcompensation and allow me to throw the matrix hook over, okay? So for the matrix, I just want to throw my right leg over. I put my heel behind his knee. I don't want to be open this way because it puts pressure on my knee. And I throw my heel here. My left foot is going to clip his far hip. And now I'm going to come up and grab the hip. Once I grab the hip, I can put my left foot on the floor. I shrimp out really far, let go of this underhook, and I pull with my hand on the hip and drive with my heel pressure. And that makes my body light and easy to spin around behind. From here, I can pull straight to the back. Potentially he falls to the side. And this can even turn into crab ride stuff and back takes from there. Another common situation that's gonna happen here is when I go for this matrix, right? And I've done plenty of videos on the matrix before, I'll put the link in the description. Is as I go for this matrix, some people know what you're doing. If you start matrixing all the time, they're gonna turn their foot out wide. And when his foot is out wide, it's much harder to hit a matrix because his knee needs to be rotated in to get my foot in position. So whenever I'm here and I start throwing this and he postures up a lot and I feel that, I just release and I turn this right foot to a butterfly hook instead, and now I can center under here. Once I go here, I'll usually block his ankle in the front with my right hand, and I lift with my feet and that bumps him forward. Potentially, I could go straight back as well. It just depends on where his weight is. Either way, once I bring him forward, I've now transitioned to an X-guard situation. I can do a lot of different things from here. I'm just gonna grab this pant leg, throw the leg over here. I can come up straight to the back or put your left knee on the floor. Or he might even try to grab my lapel with his hand. And what I do is I try to flip him overhead here to make him push out here and come up to the back. All right, guys, the cat escaped. So if you guys like the content, be sure to like, share, subscribe to help support the channel. As well, if you guys have requests for future videos on concepts or principles that you have questions about, please comment and let me know. Thanks a lot. I think it might be better if you guys aren't there. I think it's going to be even harder. Yeah, you just go over there. Pretend I'm not here with a cat filming a fucking YouTube video on omoplatas. Just pretend I'm not doing that. Okay. Yeah, so the omoplata is one of the big...